There's a lot of gates above and below. The gates above are in Malchus, the gates below are the gates above are in Bina, the gates below are in Malchus. Taver kutshabichu. The havastimim muskatin b'shasholehen. Now, even though these gates were tied up and closed in chains, God broke open these locks, these chains. Begin la'afgalu Yisrael, to be able to remove us, to redeem us and free us. Because with the power of these mentalities of the 50 gates of Bina, all of the gates of Malchus, all of these gates become open. And if it wasn't awakened and open, all of these gates, then the lower gates of Malchus, in other words, in order for the lower gates to open, these higher gates to open. Lemevadina, to make judgment in Egypt, La'afgal and Yisrael, if there's to take us out into freedom. So it's saying basically that even though the redemption may have happened on a lower level, but lower level redemptions also are inspired by the higher level above them. All of these abilities, these powers of this Exodus were contained and concealed within this dimension called higher understanding of Bina. From it becomes awakened the power for the lower mother. Who's this lower mother? It says in Isaiah, Le'umi is like a ummah, a nation, right? But it says it without a vav, so we can say Al tikir le'umi el le'imi. Rather than a nation, it refers to a mother, my mother. What's our mother? Our mother is Malchus. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, never stopped loving us. Ad akar imi, adikara imi, until we called Him Mother. And this Malchus is corrected through this level of Bina. Emila, this mother that we're talking about is Bina. This is the second bias at Tefillin, the Ikri Hashem, the Shema Kadisha. It's the Hey of God's name. As we descend, we're also bringing down the letters. And from this Bina comes out a vitality to the right nostril. The mitzvah of Yovel, the 50th year, where those who are enslaved become free. Why is it? It's because the Bina is completed. 50 years represents the cycle of 7 times 7. After that is done, you have the Yovel, the Jubilee year. It's also connected to the 50 days of the Omer. Because through that, the 50 gates of Bina are resting and allowing for these basically is the way the Zohar explains it in other places. In a nutshell here, is as follows. Malchus is 7, right? Because after the 6 Sfirot of Zer Anpeh, we get to Malchus. It's like a regular cycle of a week or a regular cycle of Shemitah, 7 years. Yovel is 50 years, 7 times 7. One is the completion of Malchus, one's the completion of Bina. What's the difference? Malchus is basically, in a sense, how am I a religious person to fit into the community? Like, for me to be good with you, for me to be good with Klal Yisrael. But what's even higher than that? What's even higher than me being good with Klal Yisrael? What could be higher than that? Bina. Bina means it's not just Malchus, I'm doing the right thing, you're happy, I'm happy, we're all doing Torah mitzvahs, and we're all getting along. That's great. That's Shabbos, that's Shemitah. But Bina, the completion of my own consciousness being fully engaged on every level, That's Malchus. That's much higher than Malchus. That's Bina. That's the Chamishim Shar Bina. That's the 50 gates. That's, I have to really develop myself. When I do that, I have freedom. That's why the slaves go free.
Moses got that right before he died.
Yeah.
He got both.
Yeah, supposedly, or got right as high as he could get in that level. So Yovel, when the slaves are free, it's because it has that level of consciousness. In other words, there'll come a time that God will, and this is the equivalent, lahavla, or what we say in Buddhism, of nirvana, of complete enlightenment. Yeah. Exactly. But begin kach, the hey naicha derucha. The letter hey, when you read it, is ha. It's a breath of relaxation, of relaxing. Oh. That's what the Zohar says. It's a meditation on breathing the hay. Again, I'll read it to you again. Begin kach hey, and because of this, the letter hey, naicha derucha is a breath of relaxation, of restfulness. And it represents the ruach, the neshama, the soul, becoming free. The high basis is Mitzrayim Talia, and this bayit of the tefillin is connected to the Exodus. Avas hey dishma kadisha kamad itmar, and this os hey of the holy name. Ad kan klala yud and hey dishma kadisha. Until now, we've taught you the mysteries of the letters of God's holy name, the first two letters of His holy name, the yud and the hey, as they refer to tefillin, as they refer to chachma and bina. Now he said that you should know that from the level of chachma, of Abba, Father, comes kindness, love. Now, again, what's the connector? Das. But das is two aspects. Das of chesed, das of gevura. The sitra de ima nafik gevura. From the side of the mother, and bina comes gevura. They're all united with the Holy One, blessed be He. And they're crowned within the letter, enclosed within the vav, which is Zer Ampin. Basically, the third bayit of the tefillin is chesed, and that's Shema Yisrael, Yisrael Saba. That's the third section of the tefillin is Shema. And V'ahavta Hashem Lokecha, which is part of the Shema, right? That we say this, we learned this week in the Parsha. You shall love the Lord your God. Is Tana Rabbi Shimon taught Tohu Raza Ilah the Yisrael Ilah. This is the secret of Israel above. Isata B'Sitra Abba. It's crowned in the side of the Father Chachma. Ma'ihu. What is that? Avraham. What's Avraham? Avraham is the man of Chesed. V'Isata B'Sitra De'ema. And then when it becomes enclosed in the left side, the mother. Ma'ihu Yitzchak. Then that becomes the das of Gvura, of holding back, of Gvura, which is Yitzchak. That's the fourth parsha. So you did all four parshias. Somebody who loves Hashem, Avad Yata Tivu Chesedim Kula. Rashi brings it down that out of fear you do less than you would out of love. When you love, you do more than anybody else. Extra chesed is called the chesed of truth. It's when you're like, do was more than anybody else can do because you love Hashem. You don't need to have reward. Ella begin your chemus because you love Hashem. You love Him extra. And based on the love of the King, that's our chesed. That's why Avram is referred to because he loved Hashem so much, he's like the lover of Hashem. Because he had a special love for Hashem. Aski chesed ba'alma. He also manifested in his behavior to be a kind person more than other people. That's why the third parsha is you should love Hashem, and based on your love is your kindness. He basically saw Beis Revia, the fourth parsha of Hayim Shema, is the final section. That'll be when you listen to Hashem. And that section also includes a little bit about God's wrath. Gvur to keep it. That means, God is a judge. He could be a little strict, not strict. He could be hard judgment. It comes out of the Emeilah. Even though we learned that Ema, which is Bina, understanding, doesn't really have judgment, right? Misitra nafka dinigvurila, but from its line, from its side, spherotic side, eventually extends out of it something that will become gvura, will become harsh. If I say, no, it's not judgment, right? Because there's a nice section of it that has many blessings before it even mentions judgment. So just why take only one, part of it that mentions judgment and impose that on the whole thing? He says, "Leis kisra mikol kisra malkad lo yiskal din rach." The truth is, don't think that there's a crown, which means a sphere here, that only is that sphere. The Ramchal explains extensively that every time we talk about a sphere, all the spherot have the other spherot in them. There is no such thing as one sphere in and of itself, and it doesn't contain the other spherot. No such thing. So don't think that because we have other. It's like, for example, I'm learning Shmuel Beis now, and I keep on learning about King David. I keep on asking myself, how does this jive with what we say in Kabbalah about David embodying the sphere of Malchus? And here's the answer. Every sphere contains all the other spheres. You're not going to find any one person, whether it's Avraham or Yitzchak, that only does chesed. Because there is no such thing as a sphere that's only chesed. Every sphere has the other spheres. You can learn something.
So why it's called an Avon Chesed? So what is that supposed to mean?